Okay guys, so we have learned a little bit about the history of origami, and now it's time to start doing some origami. And what you'll notice is that origami typically uses a square piece of paper. So what do you do? Because most of the time, unless you are somebody who has origami paper at home, your paper is a rectangle. Okay, so we're going to talk in this video about how to take a rectangular paper and turn it into a square, and we're also going to look at different options you have for paper that you may have around your house that you're welcome to use. Feel free to be creative with the type of paper you use. If you're wanting to use something and you have a question about it, you can come to office hours or ask me in class about using that paper. So let's talk about a few things you might have around the house that you might be able to use. So the first thing is, if you have Post-it notes are great because they already come in a square and they come in a lot of different sizes. So if you happen to have a variety of sizes, then you're really lucky because you can use these to create different sizes of the same object or of different origami objects. Okay, so this is an option. However, do keep in mind that Post-it notes are sticky on one side, so that may be a challenge for you as you're working. So let's talk about some other options where there won't be any stickiness involved. All right, so hopefully you have, at the very least, a piece of notebook paper at home. While this wouldn't be my top choice, you certainly can use it if you have nothing else available to you. Hopefully you have some blank white paper that's thinner, like copy paper or the paper that you would have in a printer. This is great because it's going to be nice and thin and easy to work with. If you don't have that, maybe you have some construction paper at home. I know I did provide a black sheet of construction paper in your folders. You're welcome to use that for this assignment if you like. Please don't use more than one sheet of the black. I only gave you two, and let's save that other one just in case we need it. Some other things you might be able to use, you can use magazine pages, you could use a newspaper, you could use junk mail, anything that's paper essentially, which is one of the really amazing things about origami is that you just need paper to do this. So let's look at how we take a sheet of paper and turn it into a square. So right now, this paper is a rectangle, and most of the time when we're working with origami, we need a square. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take the top corner of our paper, and we are going to fold that all the way down to the bottom edge. And we're gonna press that firmly in place. And you want to do a really nice clean fold there. Okay, so what you should see is if you look closely, we see that there is a line created by the fold I just made. Now, you have a couple of options. If you don't have any scissors at home, you can, I'll show you one way to do this. I'll show you two ways to do this. So if you don't have scissors at home, you're going to use a folding and tearing technique to do this. Now, if you have scissors, what I suggest you do is open this back up and neatly cut along this line to create a square. So you would continue cutting this the whole way up. Let's say you don't have scissors at home. What you're going to do is you're going to fold on that line. So I am folding on my pencil line, and I'm gonna really press that in place. This is really important. So if you take a pencil or a pen or anything that's firmer, so I can use my pen here, I just really press that along there, okay? And then I'm gonna flip it over, and I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side. And this is really important because you really need, for this technique of the tearing, you've really gotta press this firmly in place. If you have long fingernails, or somebody else in your house does, they actually come in handy for this part. All right, so then what you're going to do is you're going to place your hand directly beside that line, and very slowly and very carefully tear along that fold. Okay, and if you've been really neat and you've done really good folds, you're going to end up with a pretty clean line. Okay, so you'll see that this is what our paper looked like originally. It was a rectangle. Now we have a square. Okay, very simple technique for turning a rectangular sheet of paper into a square. So let's do that one more time using a notebook paper. Okay, so I've turned it. So it's the rectangle. I take the top corner and I fold it straight down to the edge here on the bottom. Press very firmly when you do your fold. Okay. Mark with a pencil very neatly and lightly along the edge of your paper so that when you open it, you can see where you need to be folding. Okay, the other thing you can do is you can leave this folded like this and use that as your guide. So you would fold it right over top. Okay, so see how that's lining up with my pencil line? And again, you're going to use your fingernails or a pen. And you're really going to press firmly if you don't have scissors. And we're going to do the other side. So it's really important that you do this to both sides, that you flip it back and forth. The more you do that and really press firmly on there, the easier it is going to be to tear the paper. Okay, so then what I do is I place my hand there. Now, if you have a ruler, you can also put your ruler along that edge. And you can use the ruler to help you press very, very firmly and pull slowly to tear that piece off so that you end up with a square sheet of paper, okay? So those are a couple techniques for creating the square piece of paper you are going to need for all of this origami we're going to be practicing.